All right, guys, welcome to Press X Podcast, episode 90. Got a little bit of a different setup here today, which I will explain momentarily. I'm not feeling too great today. I am pretty sick. I don't know how much of this is going to come across over the podcast, but one thing's for sure. I was not up to certainly not up to being on camera today, and I have a bit of a different setup here. So, this is just me getting readjusted to it. Plus, it's been a long time. I feel like it's been a long time since we've had some gameplay in the background. Now, this isn't my gameplay. You're going to see I pulled some trailers together from some of the bigger upcoming 2022 titles, some gameplay trailers and whatnot, and then there's some God of War footage at the end. It's like a 3-hour long video clip, so I don't know how long this podcast episode is going to be. I feel okay right now, but things could go downhill very quickly. But my hope is that we can have just a regular episode here today. And so some of you may have noticed I've changed the theme of the channel once again. I went from black and white. Now I'm back to a darker blue and white and shades of black in there as well. I wanted to be able to do that because I like the black and white look, but I don't know. I can't. I feel like I can't get away from the blue. I like the blue. I like to have a little bit of blue in there. I just like the way it looks. I did change the font. I like the other font I was using, but this newer font, I feel like it's just a little bit easier to read. I feel like it's a little bit easier on the eyes. So yeah, you'll have to excuse me if you hear me cough a little bit or if I sneeze. I got my tissues with me and I got some Gatorade, so we should be good. We should be good. But for those who are wondering, if the face cam is going to be coming back, well, first of all, be sure to leave me your feedback by the time this podcast is up and let me know how you feel about the gameplay footage in the background. If that's something you would like to continue to see, because, for pretty much the first year of my podcast, that's all I did. I just did background footage and B-roll footage and my own gameplay as well. And people seem to be okay with that, and obviously for a while now it's been face cam. So what I'm thinking we could do is probably have a hybrid of both. Depending on how long I'm sick will likely depend on how long I'm not going to be on camera. But what I'm thinking is when I'm back to 100%, we could do a little bit of both. We could have some gameplay in the background and I can also be on camera. So we can get the best of all worlds. That's what I'm hoping to do anyway. But yeah, so excuse me. We do have some things to talk about today. I think we have some interesting topics for sure. More topics to discuss than I would have expected, on the 2nd of January. By the way, Happy New Year to everybody. A little late with that. But I feel that 2022 is a big year, or at least we're hoping it's going to be a big year. I feel like a lot of people are feeling this way. So Happy New Year. I hope everybody had a good holiday break. I think tomorrow is Monday. So I think for most people, tomorrow it'll be back to the grind, So I had a pretty good, I'm going to be honest. I want to say I had a pretty good New Year. I mean, it could have been worse, but I spent the New Year pretty sick. Family's a bit sick. So could have been better for sure, but better than what it was last year, I'd say. Certainly. So Happy New Year to everybody there. We're finally in 2022. I got a couple super chats here right off the bat I'm going to read. Before I do that, guys, do me a favor. If you enjoy the podcast, if you like the content here, and if this is just something that you appreciate and you enjoy, make sure you hit that like button for me. It's a really easy thing for you to do, and it helps the podcast out more than you know. If it didn't help, I wouldn't ask you to do it. And obviously, there are other ways for you to help support the podcast. You can become a channel member. You can donate a super chat. all this good stuff. I'm sure most of you already know this by now. But yeah, so with that being said, we have a super chat here. I can't see the name of this individual because for some reason it always gets blocked out. The first super chat or the name of the first super chat. Mr. Unknown. Mr. Unknown. Okay. I got it. No worries. I got it. Mr. Unknown, you say, ready for you to talk about Kojima and Silent Hills / Xbox cloud game. Also, can you talk about what Hassan just said in the thread he put out last week? Somebody's saying the audio is choppy. Can I get a bit of feedback from the chat on the audio? Is the audio giving you some issues? Okay. Yeah, I see some people are maybe some people are trolling. I'm used to it at this point. Everything's good on my end. So if the overwhelming majority of people in the chat are saying that the audio is good, then I'm going to assume it's good. All right, thank you guys. Thank you for the feedback. All right. So yeah, Mr. Unknown, we're definitely going to talk about that over the course of this podcast. I'm eager to talk about it because, you know, we finally have a bit of official information regarding Kojima Productions, and I talked about it briefly in one of my videos that I did this past week. And I definitely have more to say about it. Now, you're asking me to talk about what Hassan said in a thread. I guess the thread you're referring to is on Twitter. I don't follow Hassan directly on Twitter, so I will have to actually look into that. But when we get to that portion of the podcast, then yeah, I could probably look into that thread and see what is being said there, because I didn't realize he did that. We have Zay Very Rare. Thank you for the donation, buddy. You're saying, good morning, MBG. I hope you're enjoying your morning so far. Let's start this podcast off with some positivity. I hope everyone has a wonderful year. February will be a phenomenal month for gaming. Well, thank you so much for that, man. My morning, it's not going too bad. You know how it is when you're sick. You know, it gets worse in the morning, worse at night. So my morning was a little bit rough. I'm feeling better now, which is good. But I appreciate that, man. I want to start off not only this podcast with some not forced positivity, because I don't think any of us want to make it seem as though the positivity is forced, but just some genuine positivity. You know, we do have a lot to look forward to this year. And that's why I wanted to make sure that the first video I put out this year, some people may have taken it as, oh, it's just, you know, MBG being a PlayStation fanboy. Maybe it was a little bit, but it was genuine. You know, as a PlayStation fan, as a PS5 owner, I wanted to just make a video talking about how solid this year so far looks for PlayStation owners. And, you know, I think that can be said for pretty much all platforms. I think that all platforms are going to have a better year in 2022. But considering I pay most attention to PlayStation, it's looking really good. So thank you for that so much, man. February is going to be phenomenal, but also a little bit overwhelming. So we'll see how February goes down. Michael Lynch. Oh, also, I just want to say it's crazy to think, you know, I keep talking about February 2022. Have you guys ever experienced this where you talk about a month or like a date and it just feels like it's so far away, and then it's just like, boom, we're pretty much almost there already, which is crazy. Like, you know, time kind of creeps up on you like that. But Michael Lynch, you're saying we've had a really high seater count lately in Austin. Knocked me out of work for 3 days. Good to kind of be back to normal. Yeah, no, I hear you, man. Talking about getting back to normal. Everything about this podcast feels so strange to me because I have a completely new setup. You know, I'm not on camera for the first time in who knows how long, and I'm just feeling strange. So, you know, I'm hoping to make whatever I got going on now, you know, and obviously include a face cam later on, or as we go further, to make that the new normal. But yeah, man, I wanted to try to make sure I keep the content flowing on the channel. You know, if I felt like I wasn't up to it, I would have done it. But I feel like this will help kind of distract me a little bit, and I always kind of enjoy getting together with you guys every Sunday. So thank you for that, Michael. We also have Rory Grimshaw. You're saying Happy New Year. Also, Horizon Forbidden West next month. Cannot wait. Do you think we'll see any more of the game between now and launch? Well, Happy New Year to you, buddy. And yeah, Horizon is going to be here before we know it, just a little over 1 month from now. And it's interesting. You talk about whether or not we're going to see more Horizon. I have no doubt that Sony's going to ramp up the marketing for Horizon significantly so. Like, I think that Sony is obviously going to release some more trailers, maybe a couple more blog posts. But I did see there was on Twitter, I don't know if he's a reliable insider or not. I think most people have deemed him a not reliable insider or just one of these fake insiders. And it is what it is. I don't really pay too much attention, but I saw that Tidix on Twitter, he said that as of right now, Sony is planning another state of play for Horizon Forbidden West at the beginning of February. Now, look, I'm going to be honest. I don't really need inside information to kind of come up with that. I mean, I think it could be true. I think it would be smart. I think that Sony understands. Look, Horizon's going to be the biggest game we launch in quite some time. And they did a big state of play last year in May, and we loved that. But since then, we haven't really gotten another, large chunk of gameplay. I think doing another one right before the release would be a very smart move. I think that's how you get people who are already excited and already anticipating it, and maybe even people who are forgetful, like people who are not paying much attention and they're not aware that it's coming out soon. I think that's just really how you bring the hype level up to another level right before launch. And obviously, I would love for Sony to do that. Although I have seen quite a few people say that they've seen more than enough of Horizon and they don't need to see any more. And I think that's understandable as well. We certainly have seen quite a bit, but I'll put it to you this way. If Sony does do another state of play at the beginning of February for Horizon, I will 100% stream that and react to it with you guys, and it'll probably just get me even more excited. So I think they will. I think they will show more. Certainly. Black Manta 1989, thank you, buddy. You're saying 363 days left in the year to get you to play Final Fantasy, excuse me, you say 3 remake, but I think you meant to type 7, I'm assuming. Although I don't know how you typed 3, but unless that's what you meant. I'm assuming you meant Final Fantasy 7 remake. You continue by saying, I finally started playing it for my first JRPG. It's pretty fun. Yeah, dude, look, I can't make any promises. I try not to do that anymore. I'm not against playing Final Fantasy VII. I'm in a bit of a slump right now, and what I'm mainly trying to do is get myself prepped for February, because as we already went over, there's going to be a crap ton of games dropping in February. But if there's a really downtime this month, not this month, but this year, if there's just a period of time where there's just nothing going on and there's nothing to play, I'll probably pick it up and play it. A lot of people have been asking me, and at this point, it's clear that people genuinely want to know what I would think of Final Fantasy VII Remake. So I don't want to make any promises, but you're correct. 363 days left. You talk about you're talking about Square Enix here. How many of you guys saw? Now, I didn't write this down as a topic, but how many of you guys saw Square Enix, the president, coming out and being like, hey, we're fully embracing NFTs? And I saw this and I was like, wow, this is a really disappointing way to start the year. Now, I'm not going to get all into the NFT talk. We've been talking about them more than I would like to, but I think that is incredibly disappointing. I think that Square Enix, they're one of the bigger publishers that a lot of people like. And it's not that Square Enix is perfect. They obviously have their own track record of mess ups and mistakes. But this idea that they just open up 2022 by basically being like, yup, NFTs, we're all about them. We're diving in head first. And the amount of pushback that they've received is staggering. And I seeing the pushback that Ubisoft has gotten, that now Square Enix is getting, and that other developer who's making Stalker, they actually reversed course entirely. Gamers don't want NFTs, it seems. And again, I'm not going to be diving into that here deeply, but all I will say when it comes to NFTs is as of right now, I don't see a point to them whatsoever. It just seems obvious to me that video game publishers want to dive into NFTs because they just see dollar signs. They just see a big opportunity to make money, a lot of money potentially. But in reality, it's like if you kind of look into it, I don't know, it makes you kind of think like, is there a point to this? What is the point of NFTs? So I don't know. But Darkborn, you're saying about Kojima's Xbox game, doesn't Sony have access to Acer servers right now with the deal from Xbox? So I don't see why Kojima has to go to Xbox. Well, I mean, it's a tough one, man. We'll dive in. Maybe that'll be the first topic we could talk about, the whole Kojima thing and the Xbox game and whatnot. Maybe we could dive into that. I just want to see what a couple of you guys are saying about NFTs and Square Enix. It seems like the two big issues with NFTs, based off of the research I've done, which is limited. I want to make that known. I'm not an expert in NFTs by any means. I'm sure that there are people, I know for a fact there are people who know much more than I do, but the two big problems with NFTs seem to be that, first, they're apparently detrimental to the environment, but I don't know how detrimental to the environment they are. I mean, I feel like we already do a lot of things that are detrimental to the environment. I guess this is just like another one of those things where it's like, well, let's just throw this on there. And a lot of people are like, but do we really have to? And I think that's kind of what it comes down to, is like, no, we don't have to. And the other side of it is people kind of look at it as a scam. And the reason why they look at it as a scam is because it's like we're taking, digital art or whatever it may be, basically like, JPEGs and whatnot. And we're artificially creating these, I don't know, barriers, I guess, or, hey, this is a special thing that only you own. And even though that guy over there has an exact copy, he only owns that copy, but you only own this copy. And it's like, but aren't they technically just the same thing? It's like, yeah, but you paid more for yours and you got like a digital receipt for it. I mean, look, I'm whittling it down dramatically here, but it just seems, I don't know. It's one of these things where the deeper I look into it, the more convoluted it gets. And I'm just like, I just don't care. Like, I just don't care. What I know is that, Square Enix, Ubisoft, a lot of people are saying, dude, you better get ready. Sony's going to start embracing NFTs. What I'm going to say is that I don't care who embraces NFTs. I'm not buying them. I have no interest in buying NFTs. Honestly, I don't feel any different about NFTs than I do with microtransactions. I don't buy microtransactions. I think I bought a single, maybe like 2 or 3 microtransactions in my entire time ever gaming. It's just like, I don't know. I want to say this though before we dive into the next topic. The strangest thing about this, about Square Enix coming out here and being like, yeah, we're embracing NFTs. I want to find it really quick. There was a write-up that they put out, and the way that the president worded it, Square Enix should still be trending. Square Enix NFTs. I gotta find the write-up because what they said was just like, really, like this is he basically, here we go. I got the write-up right here. He said, I realize, and this is directly from the write-up from Square Enix. They say, I realize that some people who play to have fun and who currently form the majority of players have voiced their reservations towards these new trends, obviously talking about NFTs, and understandably so. However, I believe that there will be a certain number of people whose motivation is to, quote, play to contribute, unquote. Like, is this guy serious right now? Like, this is the thing that truly baffled me, where it's like, this dude is literally out here This dude is literally out here, the president of Square Enix, being like, I know most people go to video games to play them for fun, to have fun. But what about those people who want to play video games to play to contribute? And I'm like, what the hell are you even talking about, bro? Like, think about what you just said. Like, I mean, who's out here playing video games for any other reason other than to have a good time, to enjoy them, and to have fun? You know, like, who's gonna turn on their game and be like, yo, I want to play. I want to play to contribute. Contribute to what exactly? It's just so bizarre to me. I don't understand what contribute to the amount of money that Square Enix can make. It was just the weirdest write-up I've ever seen. Now, that's just a small excerpt from the write-up, but that was the big thing that people were highlighting. Like, bro, like, this is a bro moment, you know, from the president of Square Enix. So I'm like, Sony, you're pretty close with Square Enix. You know, smack some sense into these guys over there. What are they doing? Then again, they are that, you know, people give Square Enix a lot of credit, and it's understandable why they do. But at the same time, we do have to acknowledge that Square Enix does some bizarre things. Like, what they did with the Avengers game is a great example of, like, they kind of, in a lot of ways, don't actually know what they're doing, you know? So, I don't know. Like I said, Sony, smack some sense into them. I'm telling you, man, the day where Sony comes out and they're like, we're fully embracing NFTs, that's going to be a depressing day. But I just want to say this, because I know I'm going on. I'm going to move on to the next topic. You know, I don't want to be one of these people that's just constantly yelling. This is something I want to kind of change going into 2022. I don't want to just yell, hey, NFTs suck. They're the worst thing ever. NFTs should die. I mean, it's too easy to do that. I want to try to give more rational advice and an irrational opinion. And that is, look, if you don't like NFTs and you don't believe in them and you don't like anything about them and you're just totally against them, then the best thing you can do is just don't support them. It's as simple as that. It's like anything else. You know, just don't buy NFTs. Don't put your money towards that. As I always say, the market will speak. So, Josh, thank you so much, buddy, for the donation. You're saying you need to do more research. They are not detrimental to the environment. The whole gaming industry is going to embrace blockchain and NFTs. I'm telling you right now, mark my words, prepare yourself. Well, like I said, Josh, I'm not entirely in the know, and I'm aware that some of the things I'm saying could be incorrect or not. Like you said, I do need to do more research for sure. Right now, the most research I've done is I read an article from The Verge, which got very complicated and convoluted. And the thing about NFTs that, I'll just say this, you know, in response to your super chat, the thing about NFTs is anytime I start to look more into them, they just become like I just kind of begin to not understand what the hell they're even talking about. And I'm like, what is even going on here? This all sounds way too complicated. And I'm like, what is this about exactly? Like, for digital content? And ultimately what I come down to is as of right now, like, I just don't have any interest in it. Now, when you say it's not detrimental to the environment, I don't know. I read something where apparently it creates some type of emissions and they're negative, but they can like alter it to where, again, like, you know, I probably don't sound very intelligent right now because, I have limited research, but, you know, what I will say is that people are buying NFTs. People just like, you guys remember with, like, I'm not trying to compare the two because they're very different, but you guys remember like when microtransactions first became a thing? I remember like people were freaking out about them. They're like, what is this? Like, nobody wants this. And gamers lost their minds. But no matter how much outrage there was, no matter how much gamers yelled and screamed and said, no, microtransactions do not belong in games, look at where we are today. You know, look at where we are today. And the reason why we're here today is because enough people decided that, you know, they want to buy microtransactions. You know, you could have 1,000 people that are like, I hate microtransactions and I'm never buying them. But all it takes is like 50 people who are willing to dump a lot of money into them, and boom, they're going to be here for good, you know? So I don't know. It is what it is. I don't, you know, the NFT talk doesn't interest me too much. I felt like I had to bring it up here because it was a hot topic of conversation over the past 24 hours with Square Enix. NFTs, I don't have any interest in them. You know, I don't feel the need to scream about them and freak out and say NFTs are the devil. You know, like, I just don't care that. I don't even care that much. Like, I have no interest in supporting them. I don't even really know fully exactly what they are or why I need to pay for digital art. I don't even know. The Cape Crusader, you're saying, MBG, you should put the podcasts on a playlist. Oh, it's also worth noting I'm probably a little bit feverish right now. So if I sound really like bizarre today, that's probably why. But yeah, Cape Crusader, that's something I have to work on this year. I gotta take some time to kind of clean up the channel a little bit. I've been slacking for like 2 years now. I haven't made like any playlists, but you're right, I should do that. We have 90 episodes of the podcast. I should make a playlist. Also, apologize if you hear some squeaking. I bought a new chair. It's a great chair. I love it. It's a great office chair, desk chair, but it's kind of squeaky. So apologies if that's coming through the mic. Josh, you're saying PlayStation Home is literally a metaverse that isn't on the blockchain. You think they won't embrace that with PSVR 2? Think about it. Well, yeah, that's the thing, man, is like, I need somebody to explain to me what the hell blockchain is exactly. Like, I lack the enough knowledge to be able to talk about NFTs in a confident way. And I don't want to just regurgitate what everybody online is yelling. But based off of what I do understand, I could, yeah, what you're saying makes sense. I could see Sony for something like PlayStation Home embracing something like NFTs. But, it just, again, if I had to just kind of zoom out without getting too much into the nitty gritty, I guess it'll just be up to people to decide ultimately. You know what I mean? Like, people, if Sony does with PlayStation VR 2, they're like, hey, we're doing PlayStation Home version 2 and we're going to support NFTs. People are going to decide for themselves whether or not that's something they actually want to support. And the market will speak, and I know people always want to dive into the ethics, and I get that. It's important. Obviously, ethics are very important. But at the end of the day, when it comes to business, when it comes to the market, ethics are not always the thing that matters, man. Like I hate to say it, but sometimes it really just does come down to, what people are willing to buy and spend their money on and what they're not. And ethics don't always play a big role in that conversation. Darkborn, you're saying NFTs are similar to like how items in RuneScape were given away for free at the start and became super expensive later on as they were rare, but they're bought and unique. It's a way to show off for money. Yeah, like I get that general concept. It's like scarcity, accumulating like rarity over time. I get that. And it becomes more expensive. Darkborn, again, you're saying I sold my RuneScape account for like $5,000, LOL. It was essentially an NFT account. It's crazy. Yeah, see, like that aspect of NFTs I get, but the part that I don't fully understand are people talk about it in the sense of like it's going to be like permanent and it'll never go away, and even to the extent of how exactly it's detrimental to the environment. I don't fully understand that. I would like to understand it, and it probably will require more research, but it is what it is, Golden Cheeseburger, you're saying, hope it's not COVID, get well soon. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was. I mean, it seems to be going around, everybody's catching it, so, it is what it is. Somebody said, Hicksock, you're saying NFTs are like mining. Look where mining led us. No components and high electricity usage. Yeah, well, if there's one thing that I've learned is that, I can say whatever I want about it, but at the end of the day, it's like I said, man, people are going to have to decide for themselves. And the only suggestion I can give to people when it comes to anything, putting the ethics aside, if you like NFTs and you want to support them, go ahead. Clearly right now, there's nothing stopping you. If you don't like them and you don't believe in them and you think they're bad or you're just not interested in them, then just don't support them, And there's nothing wrong with giving your opinion on it. I think that can help. But the market will speak, That's just how it goes. Anyway, we spent too much time talking about NFTs. I do apologize. I did not want to spend that much time talking about them, but maybe I'll have to do more research into it, or, maybe somebody listening to this podcast can leave a long comment explaining exactly the ins and outs of this. But we're going to move on to the first topic, which I want to talk about. I want to talk about Kojima Productions. Excuse me. I gotta get a drink here first. Bear with me, guys. Bear with me here. All right. I want to talk about Kojima Productions. So, for those who were not aware, Hideo Kojima pretty much confirmed that they are officially working on 2 different games. Now, I want to make it known here that I got a little, not a lot, but I got a little bit of pushback when I covered this the other day, okay? I covered this in a video, and the reason why I got some pushback was because some people were kind of saying to me, like, dude, it's a mistranslation. That's not what Hideo Kojima said. And the reason why people are saying it's a mistranslation, that he said he was working on 2 games, is because it came from Famitsu, which I believe is a Japanese gaming magazine, and they did their end of the year, New Year's kind of roundup with Japanese developers, and they asked Kojima, what he was working on. And the translation that we got, the translation that people were going with, is that he said, I'm working on a big title and I'm working on a new challenging title. And so, people were kind of coming at me, and not a lot, just some, but it annoyed the hell out of me because I looked into it and it wasn't a mistranslation. They were saying it was a mistranslation. That's not what Kojima said. Well, here we go. Maybe this will help people understand that, yes, Kojima Productions is working on 2 titles. Over on Hideo Kojima's Twitter account, on December 31st, he says, although 2021 was still a very difficult year for us, we managed to deliver the release of Death Stranding Director's Cut for PS5 safely, even in this COVID situation, while we were solemnly preparing and experimenting with new titles. Titles. Okay? Not title. Titles. He says, thank you very much. And everybody's paying attention to this tweet, and they're like, oh, he said titles. He said titles. And so it's between what he told Famitsu and between this tweet, yes, Kojima Productions is working on not 1 game, they're working on 2 games. Now, we have no clue, because I know how the conversation has been. Guys, trust me. I've been talking about this stuff for well over a year and a half now. Believe me when I tell you, I know what the conversation has been like. You got, Xbox fans screaming, Kojima's ours. You guys are going to see Kojima's coming to our side. He's leaving PlayStation. He wants nothing to do with PlayStation ever again. Sony kicked him out, and he's going to make the greatest game ever for Xbox. And then PlayStation fans are like, no, that's not going to happen. Kojima's ours. He's always been with PlayStation. He bleeds blue, it's this back and forth where it's like, guys, I get it. I agree. It would be crazy to see Kojima leave Sony for Xbox, but it would also be crazy to see Kojima make a game for both. He's making 2 games. For all we know, these 2 games could be for PlayStation. We don't know exactly, but we do have a bunch of rumors to kind of go off of that can help us kind of determine. Darkborn, you're saying the part that makes me think there's more to it is how Sony patented his bridge building design. Either he's pissed or sticking with PlayStation. Yeah, I saw that, man. I don't believe that any company should be patenting game design. I think that's dumb. Sony or any other video game publisher, please don't patent video game mechanics. Let other developers use them and refine them and innovate on them. But yeah, Sony did do that. And so, yeah, that is pretty strange to think about, man, because it's not Kojima Productions that patented it, right? It's Sony. So this actually does mean that if Kojima does go with Xbox, well, the mechanics that specific gameplay mechanic that Sony patented, he wouldn't be able to use that for an Xbox title, which is really interesting. Kind of cheap, but I guess from that, if a company's allowed to do that, they're going to do it. Get Good, you're saying, MBG, what are your thoughts on the Xbox Series S outselling the Series X in terms of sales? What happened to the power narrative? My thoughts on that are simple. It's not that surprising to me. I always kind of imagine that that the cheaper Xbox model would be the one to end up selling more. I mean, there's no reason why it wouldn't. But I also heard, and I don't know how much truth there is to this. All right, I want to make that known. Like, I just heard this kind of in passing, and it could be true, it could not be true. It wouldn't surprise me if it was. But apparently, Microsoft chose to prioritize Xbox Series S over the X in terms of how many units they wanted to produce. Now, to me, that does make sense. Again, I don't know if it's true, but that would make sense for Microsoft to want to do that because it's their cheaper console. And, they probably just assume that most people are going to go for the cheaper console if they had that option. And when it comes to the power narrative, man, that's dead. It's dead in the water. I was there all throughout 2020, the build up to the next gen consoles, and the power narrative was very real. And I admit, I gave into that narrative way more than I should have. I was a bit foolish with it. There's no doubt about that. But now that we are over a year into the new generation of consoles and the Series X has been out, the PS5 has been out, the Series S, I think it's just safe to say that when it comes to the PS5 and the Series X, yeah, come on. Like, they're both great consoles. They're both doing what they need to be doing. The PS5 has proven to have more advantages than I think anybody ever expected it to, but I'm not shocked by it. And so I just don't think anybody's making their decisions at this point based off of the power narrative. I feel like it's non-existent. I feel like people are just making their decisions based off of A, what's available, and B, what games they want to play. And that's kind of, Jim Ryan had it right. I will say, back in June of 2020, Jim Ryan started the show by saying, we're going to let the games do the talking. And that's how it is, man. That's just the fact of the matter when it comes to any platform or any console. The games are going to do the talking. And I think that for Sony, the games have been doing the talking. I think that Microsoft, recently their games have been doing some talking as well. But I think 2022 is when the games really start to, at least for PlayStation, maybe for Xbox. I'm not even really paying much attention to Xbox these days. But when it comes to PlayStation, yeah, they got a lot of games. They're going to be doing a lot of talking, I think. So, essentially power narrative, non-existent. I think we will pick up the power narrative once again, maybe briefly, when we get the Pro version of the PS5, which we undoubtedly will. I have no doubt in my mind we will get a PS5 Pro. Probably not for a while, probably not till like 2024, but I think for sure we are going to get that. And we're going to get another version of the Xbox Series X and maybe even S. And then we'll probably talk briefly about, okay, who's offering what. But I think we'll know by that point that it doesn't matter. PS5, PS5 Pro, they're both going to kick ass. See here, PlayStation Pete, you're saying there is a lure hoarder trophy glitch. It was said on the internet to collect the doll and lottery ticket chapter 6. I'm going to be honest with you right now, PlayStation Pete. I have literally no idea what you're talking about. I don't know what to make of your super chat. Maybe I should know, but I don't. So apologies for that, buddy. But maybe you can explain a little bit further. By the way, guys, we're almost 45 minutes into the podcast. I highly doubt this is going to be a 3-hour podcast. I'm starting to feel the sickness, So hit that like button for me, guys. Let's see if we get to 300 likes. I think we can do it. We have almost 600 people here. Getting back to the whole Kojima thing, though. Look. Here's how I see it. I would be totally cool with Hideo Kojima deciding, I want to make a game for Xbox. If Xbox gave him an offer that he couldn't refuse, that offer being, you want to make a cloud game, we're Microsoft. We have like unlimited cloud leverage. We have unlimited money. I mean, not literally unlimited, but they could offer him an immense amount of money. And they could also say, we just want to get you on board. You can make literally whatever you want. We just want to get you on board. I mean, if you're Hideo Kojima, that's a really enticing offer, you know? But if you're Hideo Kojima, I feel like you also don't want to just walk away and turn your back on Sony. And if you're Sony, you also don't want to just let Kojima walk out. I mean, for God's sakes, people, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Hideo Kojima is the man that has a mouse pad with Herman Hulst's face on it. How do you betray Herman Hulst that way? You know, you don't. So when he says I'm making a big title and when I'm making a new challenging title, I agree with what a lot of other people are saying. I think the new challenging title sounds very much like it could be a cloud-based title because that sounds like it would be a challenging thing to develop. And I do think that the big title is probably whatever he's doing with Sony. Swaggy G. Thank you for the super chat, buddy. You're saying, Happy New Year, bro. And what are your thoughts on Sly 5 possibilities? Well, Swaggy G, to answer you, I think there's a pretty good chance we'll get another Sly Cooper, man. There's been a decent amount of rumors claiming that Sly Cooper is going to be returning. And I don't know, and I don't think that Sucker Punch is developing it, though. So make of that what you will. I don't know if people are going to be concerned about that or not, but Sly Cooper apparently is going to be returning, and I think there's a good chance. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. I think that, you know, we're going to have to pay attention to who's possibly developing it. Well, then again, you know, you say Sly 5. I do wonder, will it be Sly 5 or will it be a reboot? I don't know. I don't know what's more likely. I'm not too familiar with the Sly Cooper franchise, so I guess I'll just naturally lean towards the side of a reboot. You know, I feel like there's going to be a lot of rebooting this gen. Could be wrong about that, but I just kind of get that sense. Darkborn. Again, you're saying, what if Kojima posts a tweet one day with a Zune, a Phil Spencer mousepad, and an Xbox mini fridge in the background? Then I'll believe it. I mean, yeah, the internet would go crazy at that point, right? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Is in my podcast or the gameplay footage was struggling a little bit there. Yeah, we'll see, man. I think that Kojima he's definitely teasing a lot, you know, he's definitely trolling a lot, but I don't think anybody really knows exactly what he's doing. I think we'll find out this year, though. I am confident we will find out this year. I mean, the time has come, right? It's 2022. We gotta know. Mr. Unknown, you're saying don't forget to read the Hassan thread, MBG. Yeah, I'm gonna go over to that in just a moment. I'll bring it up here. Because I don't have it up in front of me. I'll bring his thread up here. Okay, so yeah, there's not, you know, I think the big question that PlayStation fans have, like, I'm gonna be honest with you. All right, I am confident that Hideo Kojima and Kojima Productions, I'm confident that they're working on a game for PlayStation. But I don't know if I'm as confident that they're working on a game with Xbox, but I anticipate that announcement at some point. You know? I guess the question is, which one comes first? Which game is Hideo Kojima likely to announce first? The big title he's working on or the new challenging title? I feel like the new challenging title sounds like it's probably further out than the big title. Right? So I want to say that the big title, whatever that is, will be announced first. Green Al Gill, you're saying 2022 going to be a great gaming year. Cheers, MBG. Thank you so much, man. I agree wholeheartedly. It is going to be a big year for games. It's going to be a great year if you're a gamer, no matter where you're playing. Personally, I think PlayStation's looking like it's going to have a better year, just based off of what we know now. But then again, I am biased, so yeah, I don't know. So the big question, if Kojima's working on a game with PlayStation, which is it? Is it Death Stranding 2 or is it Silent Hill? I'm going to be honest with you guys. Not that I'm not honest, but I guess I got to be honest with myself at this point. I just don't feel confident anymore at all that it's going to be Silent Hill. Like, I don't know that. It's not that I wouldn't care. Obviously, I would be ecstatic if Kojima comes out and is like, yep, we're doing it. We're rebooting Silent Hill and we're making another one PlayStation exclusive. I mean, that'd be amazing, right? What PlayStation fan wouldn't be excited about that? Well, I mean, most PlayStation fans, I think, would. You're saying Gamatsu claimed it. Yeah, they did. They did. I mean, people forget that. Gamatsu, one of the most well-respected Japanese gaming outlets out there. Gamatsu. They just flat out said that, hey, we've heard that Kojima's making a game that's being published by Sony, and that game is Silent Hill. But who knows? I mean, it is just utterly bizarre. I swear, I will, no matter what happens, okay? Like, when we learn about Kojima's game, if he comes out and it's like, guys, I'm making Death Stranding 2, right? I'm making Death Stranding 2. I will still be baffled. I will still look back at 2021 and be like, then what the hell was all that about? You know? And I'll just have to come to the conclusion, well, no one knows. Just some weird stuff going on, man. Weird stuff going on. I see a couple people asking why there's no camera. There's no camera today because I'm pretty sick and I'm not feeling well. And I don't feel like I want to go on camera right now. So for those asking, that's why. I'm sick MBG today. Fernando, you're saying VGC, Video Game Chronicle, denied that it's Kojima. And dude, I'm telling you, VGC is strange. Okay, I remember what VGC said about Silent Hill, because here's what VGC said. Video Game Chronicle said, we've heard from a reliable source. Oh God, I feel like I'm gonna sneeze here. Got my tissues ready. Don't worry, guys. I'm prepared. But VGC said, this was like sometime last year, they said, we heard from a reliable source that, you know, Silent Hill, a AAA Silent Hill game is being made and it's being funded by Sony and it's being developed by a prominent Japanese developer. But they wouldn't name the prominent Japanese developer. The only thing they said is that prominent Japanese developer is not Hideo Kojima. Oh God, I'm feeling it. I got to sneeze, but I'm like not going to. Oh, it's stuck, guys. This is torture. What's happening right now? I'm trying and I can't. This is horrible. Okay, I guess it's gone now. I think MBG is the Megatron buried. I want to sneeze, man. I want to sneeze. It won't come out. I'm even like looking up at the light. Sometimes that helps. I'm sure it'll come out eventually. But anyway, I just think it's really strange to me. I think it's really strange to me that VGC comes out and they're like, yeah, it's a prominent Japanese developer making Silent Hill, and everybody's thinking Kojima, and they're like, it's not Kojima though. Then why don't you tell us who the hell it is? Because even like, it makes no sense. I can't think of another prominent Japanese developer that would be working on Silent Hill, at least not off the top of my head. And that's the thing, is like, if you really want to, confirm it's not Kojima, then tell us who it is. I think they found out it was Kojima, but they were told not to spoil it. I could be wrong. I'm just saying. It's just weird to me. That's all they ever said, and then they never said anything more. And I'm like, well, whatever. So anyway, what I'm trying to get at is I'm not going to be spending the entirety of this year continuing to talk about Silent Hill. It is literally a meme at this point. But there's no doubt in my mind, this is the year where we find out what Kojima Productions is working on. And I am confident that they are still working with Sony, that they are making another big title for Sony. And if I had to truly put my money down on like what they're making, if I had to drop like a $50 bet, they're either making Silent Hill or Death Stranding 2. I think it's Death Stranding 2. I do. And, I didn't forget that Norman Reedus said just casually last year, towards the end of the year, out of nowhere, he's like, yeah, I apparently we're making Death Stranding 2 or whatever. And it's like, well, maybe he was just trolling, but I don't know, man. I don't know. You're saying zinc and vapor rub, bro. I've been taking my zinc. Yeah, dude, whatever this is, whatever I'm sick with, it is kicking my ass, dude. Like, it's been a long time since I've been this sick. I don't know for sure, like, if it's COVID or not, but it is kicking my ass. Being sick sucks. I'm sure you guys know. But let me go to the Mr. Unknown. I know you're eager for me to read the string of tweets from Hassan. So I'll read this for you guys real quick because, you know, I wasn't planning on talking about Blue Box at all. You know, I'm just very much whatever you're ready to release, whatever it is you're going to release, you do that. But since you asked me to read this, here's what Hassan Karaman said on Twitter. He said this on December 26th. So this was the day after they gave their new information about Abandon. He says, people really need to calm down. The toxicity is really creating a lot of pressure and stress. I get it, you are pissed, but we're working hard to deliver something you can enjoy, and that takes time. Sorry, but this had to be said. He continues by saying PS5 users feel scammed because they got a 5-second teaser, which I, on behalf of myself and Blue Box, deeply apologize for. I can truly understand that. But there are a lot of people out there who are complaining but don't have a PS5. Next to that, for Abandoned, we use self-made content. Just because you saw the April teaser doesn't mean the whole game is an asset flip. Why do you think that it takes time to show something? It takes time because we want to show something good, something you can enjoy. And yes, I and Blue Box are indie, and you should not expect a AAA game. Set your expectations. Yes, we want to do our own way of things, and sure, we didn't do it well, but we are working on it. If you feel scammed or whatsoever, I am deeply, deeply apologizing for that. This is not my intention, nor do I want for any of this to happen. All I ask is from everyone is to just relax, calm down, and just wait. It's coming, I promise, but just wait. Enjoy life, play some cool games, watch a movie, spend time with your loved ones, do some workouts. Sorry for this long message, but I really felt like sharing this, and the whole situation is just out of control. So that is Hassan Karaman's latest message to anybody who is still following Blue Box and Abandon. And I assume that he felt the need to put that out because the day before, you know, the day before they put out new info, it was on Christmas and Christmas Eve, which was a weird time. But they, you know, he put out new info on Abandon and, you know, letting us know what to expect. So I assume that was kind of a response to, you know, some of the negative pushback. And you know, my thoughts on it, guys, I'm leaving Blue Box alone, man. I'm doing exactly what they want me to do at this point, which is let them just work and do what they got to do. And there was a long period of time there where I genuinely believed, and, you know, people can call me an idiot. People can call me a clown, whatever it is. It is what it is. But I'm just being honest. I genuinely did believe, and, you know, maybe I'm a fool for this, but I know most of you guys followed me, and, you know, we saw how we were being led on. But I genuinely believed that that not necessarily that Hassan Karaman himself is Hideo Kojima or that Blue Box is 100% Kojima Productions, but I certainly believe that there's something going on here more than what we're seeing. And you know, I at this point, I believe what they say. I believe every single word that Hassan says, in the sense of, yeah, I don't think that I no longer believe at all that they have any correlation with Kojima Productions, that this has anything to do with Silent Hill. It really has become obvious to me at this point that, you know, I just wanted desperately to believe that we weren't just being led on, that there was something more to it, just to find out that it was just a crazy, weird situation. Now, if I end up being wrong in the long run, that's fine. But I will still be sitting back and saying, what the F, you know? Like, I will still have the big what the F moment. But I see somebody saying stop giving them shine. I'm not. I'm responding to a super chat. Mr. Unknown wanted me to read that message and, you know, get me to give my thoughts on it. My thoughts are, just leave Blue Box alone. Let them do. Kit, you're saying there's more to it. Come on, dude. Dude, listen, man. Listen. I said it on my last stream, and I'll say it again, and I will continue to reiterate it because I know people still come to me and they're like, we got to believe, right? Listen. You're saying it's not worth covering, but there is 100% more to it. At this point in time, I don't want to touch it until when they release something in the abandoned app, I'll report on it. I'll let you guys know what it is. I'll give my thoughts on it. But anything else beyond that, I'm just leaving it alone, And if somehow, because people do ask me, they're like, well, dude, what if it does turn out somehow that it is leading to something bigger and maybe you were kind of right. I don't care. I don't care if by that I mean, I don't care if I'm right or not. I will literally still be like, what the actual fuck is this? What you've taken it too far. You know what I mean? And that's where, to me, where I'm like, this is just done. That's all. To me, it's just done. I just, they want to have the time to develop what they want to develop. And I spent a lot of time talking about them last year. And I do feel like we were taken for a ride. But I contributed to that, And I'm not saying I didn't. But I think at this point in time, it's safe to say that I was taken for a ride. And maybe we were taken for a ride. And it was a good time mostly, but they're struggling over there. They he said the whole thing's out of control. Listen, the best thing we can do is treat it for what it is. And I think I'll put it to you this way, even if you're mad at Blue Box, and this is just my viewpoint, because I feel like I would have a reason to be mad at them. You know what I mean? Guys, what the hell? Why'd you do that? But I'm not mad. I just want them to work on their game and not feel worried that they're gonna get obliterated. You know what I mean? Because I just feel like, look, yeah, they maybe some people would say they deserve that, but it's over. Just walk away, let them do their thing, and we'll just let it be what it is. And that's how I feel about it, because if they really are an indie studio and they really are trying, it is what it is, Corey Barlow says, cope harder. Bro, nobody's coping here, man. All right? It's not a big deal. You're saying it's kind of Devil Shooter. You're saying it's too late, sadly. Oh, yeah. No, it might. It's certainly. I'm not saying that whatever they're doing will be successful. It might be. It might not be. But, a lot of people, like you're saying, oh, it's just too late. Yeah, it might be for them for sure. But, Irfan, I think what you're saying is good, man. You're because you're on the money here, Irfan. You're saying even if it is Kojima in the end, people will not be happy with him. That's what I'm saying, dude. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Is that it's at a point where no one, even the most hardcore Hideo Kojima fan, which I think I fall under that category. Even I would be like, bruh, what are you doing, man? And that's how yeah, this is over. It would be fascinating, though. It would be very fascinating to me. And I'm going to say this last thing, and then I'm going to move on to the next topic, which I want to talk about some predictions I have for PlayStation in 2022. A very bizarre situation would be if later this year, Kojima Productions, maybe Sony has an event, and Kojima comes out and he announces his new game, and he's like, "Yep, it's happening, guys. I'm working on Silent Hill. Sony made it happen." And everybody be like, "Oh my God, it's happening." And then we also find out that Blue Box literally had nothing, truly had nothing to do with it. How weird would that be? That would be a very weird situation. But I think the most likely situation at this point, guys, being my most rational self, my most realistic self, I feel that Kojima Productions for PlayStation is working on Death Stranding 2. And I think that Blue Box really is an indie dev that just got in way over their head. And I believed it for way too long. And I wanted to believe something that wasn't true for too long. And they really are just working on an indie PS5 exclusive that will probably not live up to the expectations we've created in our head. That's what I think at this point. My God, I feel like complete shit. I'm enjoying the podcast because it's distracting me, but man, I feel like complete shit. I probably should have taken some like Tylenol or something before I went on. Okay. Trying to keep my fluid intake high though. Darkboard, you're saying, but there's no way that's real. Shu would help them if they needed it, or the 7 support studios to release an actual clip on YouTube instead of 4 seconds. Well, Darkborn, you know what I realize at this point is you talk about 7 support studios. Who was the one who said that? Who was the one who said that Blue Box Game Studios has 7 support studios? Who was the one? It was Hassan. Has Sony confirmed that? Did Shuhei Yoshida confirm that? Did anybody outside of Hassan confirm that? The only thing we got, and I will admit it does add to the strangeness, but the only thing we got was Noir Studio. They're real, saying, yeah, like we're actually really helping them on this game. It's real. But that was just one studio, you know? So I just think that it's just in everybody's best interest. Even if you truly believe, like, even if you're somebody still today, you're like, no, it's real. It has to be. Just let it go for now. Just let it go for a while. Like, don't even worry about it, you know? Do what Hassan said. Like, just focus on other things, play some games, work out, you know, all that good stuff. Josh, you're saying, I took your advice, bought Overcooked. My wife and I are having a blast. Well, I'm happy to hear that, man. Yeah, I told you, it's a great game, dude. It's a great game to play with, you know, your wife, girlfriend, partner, whoever, your friends. That, you know, I played it with my wife and I really enjoyed it. It is a really fun game, man. I'm happy to hear that. Let me know. You have to let me know if you guys end up beating both games or not. Let me know if you end up getting the platinum. I did get the platinum for it. So some of the requirements for the platinum are ridiculous, though. Darkborn, again, thank you, buddy. You're saying the last thing I will say is maybe Blue Box is set up as a shell studio to hype up Silent Hill, like Del Toro said, to force Konami to work. I mean, I don't see my whole thing with this, man. My whole thing with this Darkborn is like, what is the purpose of this? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like at one point in time, I could easily say to myself, you know, probably back in like June and July when the hype was at like peak levels for, oh my God, Blue Box and Silent Hill and all this stuff. I feel like it was easy at that point to believe like, oh, this is to trick people and to mess with people and screw with us. But it's like, if you look at where we are now, like, at what point is it like this didn't go the way it was supposed to? We gotta tell them the truth now. Everybody's angry, you know. Like, that's all I'm trying to say, man. Is like, I understand everything you're saying, Darkborn, and believe me, at one point in time, I was like, I truly was convinced, man. I still think that Del Toro coming out during the Game Awards and be like, somebody should make a new Silent Hill. It's like, I still think that is like the biggest, like, what the F is happening right now moment, you know? So random, so uncalled for, but yet so topical. And I just don't understand what the end game is. Like, you know, if somebody were to say to me, what if it is still real? The only question I have is, what is the damn end game? To get everybody angry? To get everybody pissed off at Kojima? You know, I feel like there's just like that. It serves no logical purpose to do such a thing. And so the only thing you're really left with is the actual logical thing, which is an indie studio pissed a bunch of people off. So I don't know, dude. I guess the question I have I guess the question I have is, how would people feel? Would people forgive Kojima? Would people be like, oh, dude, it's totally okay now that we know it was all just a joke and a ruse? I don't think so, man. I don't think so. I don't think people would just be forgiving and be like, oh, that's totally cool, man. Because, I feel like Kojima will come out, I wanted to keep everybody entertained. It's like, bro, the entertainment worked for a little bit. Then you just made everybody angry. So I doubt, at this point, like I said, man, Silent Hill live service cloud game. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know, dude. I've let it go at this point. I would forgive him too. Yeah, I mean, I obviously would be. I mean, it would be easy for me because I'd be like, I was right. I told you all I was right. So I would be the easiest person to be like, yeah, I'm totally no big deal, man. But I feel like a lot of people would be genuinely pissed off for a long time, man. All right. With that being said, though, I'm going to move on to the next topic, which I want to talk about. Let me bring it up here. I want to talk about not my well, I guess we could talk about my expectations for 2022, but I want to do some predictions. I think predictions are fun. Now I got to be honest with you guys. These are probably not the most well thought out predictions, mainly because I wrote this stuff down feeling this way, and my mind is just not so sharp right now. So I may have been forgetting a few things, but I want to talk about our predictions as well. I want you guys to tell me some of your predictions, and you can tell me whether you agree with mine or not. Michael Lynch, you're saying 2022 looks great for PS5, but remember they have 25 games in development, half of which are new IP. It's going to be incredible. Yeah, dude. What's staggering to me is that every single game, at least that I can think of off the top of my head, maybe I'm forgetting one, but pretty much every game that we know that's currently getting ready to launch for PlayStation this year was revealed in 2020. Like pretty much every game. I mean, God of War was revealed in 2020, Horizon, GT7, Ghostwire Tokyo, Forspoken. So what this tells me is like, holy shit, we pretty much went like a whole year, a year and a half practically, without Sony announcing really anything major. Now, yes, we did get Spider-Man 2. We did get Wolverine, so we pretty much know everything Insomniac's doing. But that's just one studio from Sony. And then we got KOTOR Remake, which I don't really count that because that's not a first-party game. I mean, I'll still count it, but you know what I mean. So I'm just saying, man, that Sony Studios have been doing a lot of work for a long time now. And we just haven't seen any of it. We haven't heard about it. There have been some rumors here and there, but when it comes to actual announcements and reveals, and I know what people say. They're like, dude, you're too focused on announcements. You're too focused on moving on to the next thing before you can appreciate what's in front of you. I know I have a tendency to do that, but the only reason I've been like that, more so for like the past year, is because I know this to be true. It's because I know that Sony has just like a ridiculous amount of stuff that they haven't shown. And I'm just so genuinely curious to know. Like, guys, Spider-Man 2 being announced was awesome. But we all knew that was a game that was coming. Like, I'm looking forward to like the surprise reveals. You know what I mean? Like we're at the point where we're getting ready to get God of War. We're getting Horizon. We got Ratchet and Clank. Last year. We know all this. GT7. These are games that we've always known about. You know what I'm saying? So I'm at a point where like, let's bring in the surprise reveals. Like, are we getting another Sly Cooper? Is Sony going to do something else with the Order 1886? Are we getting another Infamous game? What is this multiplayer Factions game going to look like? Chris B, was Factions announced in 2019? I believe it was. Yeah, I believe it was. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know if it was 2019 or 2020, but within that time frame, Naughty Dog did a write-up where they were telling people, they're like, Guys, this has become way bigger than we anticipated. Now it's a full-blown AAA multiplayer game from Naughty Dog. Now I want to know, are we getting SOCOM? Is Resistance coming back? You know, are we getting a multiplayer Horizon game? That's been something that's kind of been rumored. You know, what's this new IP that Cory Barlog and Sony Santa Monica are working on? What else does Naughty Dog have besides this multiplayer game? All these questions, man, and their partners as well. Sony's partners, what have they been working on? There's just so much we don't know, and yeah, like maybe a new Killzone. I feel like these are all different types of titles that people have been waiting to find out whether or not they exist, and there's no way for us to know if they do because Sony hasn't really. I'm telling you guys. I know a lot of PlayStation fans want to say, dude, Sony had an amazing 2021. And I'm not saying they didn't. Like, it depends on what game spoke to you. But I feel like it is a genuine fact when I say that Sony pretty much got through 2021 without really making any announcements. You know, the only 2 games they announced are Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine. And I don't want people to hear me say that and be like, oh, what, are those not good enough for you? No, it's not about that. It's just the fact that like Sony got away for almost an entire year of playing their cards not just somewhat close to the chest, but super close, man. Sony knew they had to play at least a few cards. They couldn't go throughout all of 2021 without playing a few cards, and they did. You know, here's Spider-Man 2, here's Wolverine, which is awesome, and here is, from one of our partners, KOTOR Remake. That's it. So you have to imagine, well, that's it. Those are all the cards you played for 2021? Yep. How many cards are you going to play in 2022? Now, it's important to understand that by the end of this year, I know we're already talking about the end of 2022 at the literal beginning of it, but at the end of 2022, it's expected that the supply constraint that we're currently facing, that Sony's currently facing, with the PS5 will no longer be an issue, or at the very least will be much, much less of an issue. So it is truly in Sony's best interest, starting from June of this year, going all the way to the end of the year, going into 2023, it truly is in Sony's best interest to really get people hyped up for not cross-gen games. Okay? We're at that point now. We're going to get Horizon, we're going to get God of War, we're going to get GT7. It's going to be in Sony's best interest to get PlayStation fans excited for, like, true, I don't want to say true next gen, but you know what I'm saying. To really get us excited for, okay, now we're moving on to just PS5 only. We're leaving the PS4 behind. Let's go, you know? And I think that they're going to do that in a big way. I do. And I think that's also going to be, I think that's going to coincide with PlayStation VR 2 as well. Bloodwire Radio, you're saying not to change the subject. Actually, sorry, let me get Darkborn's first. Darkborn, you said, I hold firm to them waiting till at least Horizon launches before a big conference. This time, it will announce big new IPs, 2 to 3 conferences this year. Yeah, I could see Sony doing 2 conferences this year. Absolutely. In fact, I think 2 conferences are kind of a given because of PlayStation VR. I don't know that you want to mix the announcement of PlayStation VR 2 with new AAA games for like a traditional game showcase, unless most of those games are also going to be compatible with PSVR 2. So I think there's a decent chance of that, for sure, Darkborn. And new IPs as well. Yeah, the time has come. Bloodwire Radio, you're saying not to change the subject, and I love my PS5 to death, but I was curious if you could elaborate on why you don't think Game Pass is the best idea. Well, for me, Game Pass is... At this point in time, there's a couple things. First of all, when it comes to Game Pass, the market has spoken. You know, the market says that, yeah, Game Pass is something we will support, and it's here to stay. So I no longer... You know, I remember when Game Pass was first announced, or, you know, the first year or two of it being out, I said, you know, maybe this thing will fail. We're past that point. It didn't fail. It could always fail in the long run, but it seems extremely, you know, like that's just not going to be a thing now. Game Pass is the future for Xbox. My whole thing with it is I'll put it to you as simply as I can, all right, without going, you know, too deep into it. when I look at PlayStation and when I look at Xbox, I see two different video game companies that are doing similar things, but also very different things. And I feel like all I'm left to do is ask myself, which one of these companies, since they are doing somewhat similar things, but again, different things, which one appeals to me more? You know, which company is doing the thing that just for my tastes and what I like speaks to me more and I'm just more interested in? And that is hands down PlayStation. And that just comes, you know, it's not because PlayStation is avoiding services. It's not just that. It's the fact that when Sony releases, let's just use a game like Horizon Forbidden West, you know, for 60 or 70 bucks. I just have this confidence, this level of security with PlayStation, where not only does Horizon look good to me with everything I've seen of it so far, like it genuinely looks like a big AAA game that I want to play, like my type of game, but I also know how much Sony is charging for the game. And it's not that, oh, I'm happy to give you 60 or 70 bucks, because let's face it, guys, we've all paid for games for 60 or maybe not 70, but 60 bucks for sure that just sucked or just were like broken or not any, it just wasn't worth that $60 price tag, you know? And I just feel like at this point in time with Sony, there is just a simple formula that they are continuing to use that I support. And that formula, I mean, it's as simple as 2 + 2 = 4. It's Sony makes a high quality video game that takes advantage of their strengths, right? That, and their strengths are, you know, having big AAA development teams spend 4 to 5 years working on it, you know, putting a lot of money into that game and then charging a premium price tag for that game, and doing so with the hope that we're going to sell millions, possibly tens of millions of copies of this game. And gamers will be happy because it's a great video game. And we'll be happy because our video game that we spent 5 to 7 years making for $150 million will make a profit, maybe even a decent profit. And it just comes off to me as a genuine win-win situation for me and for the developers that make the game that I like playing, and even for the platform holder. I know people are like, hey, why do you care about how much money Sony's making? I don't care about how much money Sony's making. I care about the health of the PlayStation brand. And if I care about the health of the PlayStation brand, I have to at least pay a little bit of attention to whether or not their games are tanking or not. You know, whether or not their games are profitable at all. Luckily, they are. And that's why this formula continues to work. When it comes to Xbox, I just don't have the same feelings towards Xbox. I you know, it's not that I hate Game Pass and I hate Xbox games. It's just genuinely the games that Microsoft has lined up right now, very few of them I care about. And I mean very few. And it's not because I have an issue with them. I don't. I just, it's like NFTs. And I'm not trying to compare Xbox games to NFTs. I'm just saying, just like I told you guys, or even microtransactions. Like, I don't actively hate them. Like, I don't have this agenda where I want to destroy them and I want to see them go away forever because I just don't care enough. That's it right there. It just doesn't mean much to me. So, you know, when I look at 2022 for Xbox, guys, I'm not. Well, hold on, Onyx. Hold on. You're saying it's 2022 and I'm already talking about Xbox. This is like the first time I'm bringing up Xbox. And the reason I am is because I got a super chat. Okay, so let's make that clear. I'm referring to the chat for this one because I have not been paying much attention to Xbox lately. What is the lineup for the first 6 months of Xbox? What games do they have? I'm genuinely asking right now. I could look it up, but I'm assuming some of you guys probably know off the top of your head. Because I know Stalker, but Stalker is like isn't that like a 3-month timed exclusive? I see some of you guys saying nothing, but I know they have something, right? They have Stalker. Come on, there's no way. That vampire game? You're talking about Redfall, right? Crossfire X, Stalker 2, Redfall. Okay. Crossfire X, I don't really know what that game is. I know that it's a shooter. But wait, hold on. Isn't Crossfire, I'm just trying to get my stuff in order here. So Crossfire X and Stalker 2 are both timed exclusives. And by timed exclusives, I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they're like 3-month timed exclusives. Crossfire X maybe is something I would be interested in. And Stalker 2 as well, I think looks pretty good. I like the look of Stalker 2. Somebody says full exclusives? No way, dude. Really? Maybe I got to do a little bit of research. I'm pretty sure they're timed. Stalker 2 is a timed exclusive. Crossfire X produced by Microsoft Studios, developed by Remedy. Okay, Crossfire X might not come to PlayStation then. So the big first party title that Microsoft I think has lined up, or they're aiming for the first half of 2022, is Redfall. And see, so I'll focus on Redfall. Irfan, you're saying Stalker. Sorry. Saying Stalker will be on PS5 literally 3 months after Xbox. It's confirmed, MBG. Wow. I thought I heard that too, man. That's what I'm saying. I thought I heard that too. That's crazy. That's not crazy, but I thought for a game like Stalker 2, it would have been longer. Chris B, you're saying Game Pass as a simple rental service is fine. Game Pass as a vehicle for AAA premium game releases has not been proven. Yeah, I mean, look, people could talk about Halo and Forza, I think, is so far the best example we've seen of like a AAA game that's really, I think, impressed people and has succeeded through Game Pass. So I don't doubt that some AAA games can succeed through Game Pass. But for me, my mentality towards Game Pass has shifted towards, I don't care about the success of it. You know, I spent too much time caring about, oh, well, you know, is it going to succeed? Is it going to fail? Is it going to ruin games? And Game Pass has been out long enough that I think it's safe to say, well, things are going, you know, it hasn't really changed much of anything on PlayStation side in a negative way. And I care about that more than anything. So I don't care about the success or failure of Game Pass. At this point, when it comes to Xbox, the only thing I truly care about is what games are they bringing out? Because everybody was like telling me for literally all of November and all of December, Forza, Halo, Forza, Halo, Forza, Halo. And I'm like, look, Forza looks great. Halo, I have no interest in. It's like, dude, like celebrate those games. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. It's just, I don't know what people want me to tell them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to go play Halo if I'm not interested in playing Halo. Just like I wouldn't tell anybody. I've seen plenty of people who are like, I have no interest in Forza, or not Forza. I almost said Forza Forbidden West in Horizon Forbidden West. And it's like, then, okay, like I'm not going to sit here and tell you, well, you better like Horizon Forbidden West. You better go play that game. Like, no, dude, if you're not interested in it, walk away from it, you know? Like, it's just not your game. And that's how it is for everybody. iSiler18, a member for 19 months. Man, approaching the 2-year mark, buddies. Saying Horizon, GT7, Forspoken, God of War, Sifu, and maybe Final Fantasy 16 based off their recent statement, Uncharted Legacy, and possibly Factions 2. What year did we step into? LOL. Yeah, dude, Sony's got a lot. So that's what I was going to say is like, you asked me about Game Pass. The truth is, man, because it's a good question, Bloodwire Radio. I think it was a good question you brought up. And maybe this is a great time to kind of just lay out the foundation. Look, I don't care to talk about Game Pass much anymore because it's, as I said, it's clear that Game Pass is here to stay. Game Pass is not going anywhere. MBG half crazed with the sickness and medicine. Yeah. You know, Game Pass has proven that it's the future for Xbox. Xbox is banking heavily on the long-term success of Game Pass. So, it's no longer about the success or failure. For me, it's just a matter of what games from Microsoft are launching onto it. Because I've already established that I still like buying my games, and that's just how it's probably going to be for as long as I'm able to do so. You know, when people come to me and they say, dude, Game Pass is such a great value. I'm like, I'm sure it is. Like, I don't doubt that, but I still don't care. You know, like I still want to play on my PlayStation. I still want to buy my games physically if I can and own them, you know? And if you want to play all of your games through a subscription service that's called Game Pass, then you're free to do that as well. But for me, it's, you know, I look at Sony for the first 6 months of this year, you know, Sifu, Horizon Forbidden West, GT7, and Forspoken. That's a pretty solid lineup. Now, I'm going to be honest, I probably won't be playing GT7, and if I do, it'll come at a later time. So I'm not going to sit here and say GT7 is a big game that like, oh, this is, you know, going to play it day one. And Forspoken, I'm on the fence about. I'm going to be honest. Forspoken, I need to see more, and I'm a little bit concerned about the game, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for Forspoken, but not that confident. So right now, for me, the two big games that Sony has for the first 6 months are Sifu and Horizon. And Horizon's obviously the big one. When I look at Xbox, and I'm not making comparisons. I want to make that clear. JFK TV, you're absolutely right. GT7 is a massive launch for Sony. Massive. Is Gran Turismo still huge? Oh, yes. Don't take, just because I'm saying I'm not playing it day one, do not mistake that as me saying, oh, GT7 isn't a big deal. Oh my God. So GT is probably going to be one of the biggest games that launches for Sony this generation. So yeah, just making that clear now. And I'm not trying to compare the lineups because there's no point. But if you're asking me my opinion, like, you know, what are you interested in? Well, when I look at Microsoft and I see that they have, you know, Crossfire X, which, you know, like I get my shooter fix through PUBG and sometimes Call of Duty occasionally. You know, I don't have a desire to play a brand, like I don't even think Crossfire is a brand new shooter. I just haven't seen anything that makes it be like, oh, I really want to play that. It is what it is, you know. Stalker, I think Stalker looks pretty good. I do. I think Stalker looks like probably the best game that I think Xbox has lined up for the next 6 months. If these three games I'm talking about, you're saying Warhammer Dark Tide 2, or as well. I'm not familiar with it. I think I know. Isn't that like I think I know what that title is. I think. Not too confident though. But the big game from Microsoft is supposedly Redfall. Redfall's the I forget the name of the studio. It was the same studio that Arcane. Redfall. Now, guys, I'm gonna be just brutally honest right now. I don't like. I have zero interest whatsoever in Redfall. I'm not saying that because it's an Xbox game. I'm not saying that because it's going to launch in the Game Pass. I'm saying that because if it's a Bethesda game, and if Bethesda was still independent or like they were never bought by Microsoft, I still would have the exact same feelings on Redfall. That being, I literally have no interest in it. If Redfall was a Sony game, I would have no interest in it. I just need to make this clear. Okay, so if Redfall is pretty much like the big title alongside Stalker 2, Stalker 2 might be enough to make me be like, okay, I want to go play this. Maybe I'll play it through Game Pass if that's, you know, how I want to do it. But knowing that it's going to release on PlayStation within 3 months, I'll just wait. It's not a big deal, you know? So I think the second half for Xbox, I think it's looking like it's going to be Starfield. And Starfield is a wait and see for me. I've never been big into Bethesda RPGs, but I'm interested and I'm intrigued by Starfield. When it comes to Starfield, I'm mainly interested to see if it's going to live up to, you know, what people are hoping this RPG will be from Bethesda. Green Owl Gill saying Gran Turismo is literally the best-selling PS game ever. It even outsold the original Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, dude. So I'm saying it's going to be massive, dude. Absolutely massive. So, but you know, here's the reality. Here's the reality of the situation. The only time I'm probably going to be talking about Xbox these days is likely through super chats. You know, like it'll probably be when, just like we just did now, you know, I got a super chat from Bloodwire Radio. And the reason for that is simple. It's just because, guys, like I don't play on Xbox. You know, I'm interested in seeing some of the games they announce, but I have a pretty good idea. I have a pretty good idea of what Xbox has lined up for not the entire generation, but in 2021, Xbox announced a ton of games. And they pretty much showed, like, dude, we're showing you games that are coming next year, the year after that, the year after that, and maybe even the year after that. And I'm like, okay, you know, like some of these games I have some interest in, most of them I don't, you know, and that's just how it is. You know, what I'm trying to say is I'm pretty content here on PlayStation, to the point where, you know, the console war stuff has gotten so ridiculously toxic. You're saying MBG, you asked for competition. I did, but the problem with that is the competition between Sony and Microsoft is never going to be ideally like what I want it to be. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just because look at where things are now. You know what I mean? Like, again, Xbox is doing their own thing and they're doing it in a different way, and Sony's doing their own thing. And so the competition still exists, but it's like talking about the power narrative between the PS5 and the Series X. You know what I mean? Like it has nothing to do with anything right now. You know what I mean? Like no one is talking about it anymore. And the reason for that is because no one cares. And for me, the same logic applies towards Xbox, where I just don't care about Xbox. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend to care. I mean, look, if I really wanted to, I could every week, you know, try to find something to say to create drama and whatnot. It's like, I'm here to play games. I'm here to enjoy games, and I'm here to talk about games, you know, and that's what I'm going to do. And so, you know, I know that I spent a lot of time on this single super chat, but it's because I know that it's a question that is going to be brought up and, you know, still brought up. And so, you know, why do I think Game Pass, why don't I think Game Pass is the best idea? Look, I've had my reservations about Game Pass, but at this point in time, it doesn't matter to me. You know, it's proven, it's here, and that's it. You know, it's just like, look, there are a lot of Xbox people, a lot of Xbox fans who were completely dead wrong about the power narrative with the PS5 and the Series X. And I'm only mentioning this because it just goes to show why it's just not worth even talking about. There were, you know, dedicated Xbox fans, and there still is a group of Xbox fans who will tell you, like, no, dude, the Series X will outperform and is outperforming in a significant way the PS5, when that's just, you're wrong. You're just flat out wrong. You've been proven wrong. The same applies to me with Game Pass, in the sense of, if I ever thought that Game Pass was going to fail, if I ever thought that Game Pass wasn't going to potentially succeed, or it wasn't going to persist and last, I've been proven wrong. Game Pass is still here. Microsoft is still all in, and that's just the way it is. And, you know, that's what happens when you have, you know, that's what sometimes you have your opinions on things, you have your beliefs, and then they're proven wrong. Other times you're proven right. So, you know, it is what it is, man. I just don't know what else to say about it at this point. You know, like, people, the most I could probably say about it is maybe one day I'll subscribe to Game Pass, and maybe one day there's something that, you know, that maybe there will be a game I play on Game Pass. Maybe that day will come. Who knows? Maybe sometime this generation, Game Pass will make its way onto PlayStation, and we'll have that conversation. So, iSiler18, you're saying, same with the power stuff. I can't remember the last time I watched a Digital Foundry video. Yeah, dude, same here, man. You know, like, it's interesting because I remember at the start of this new generation, people were so interested in that, man. Like, I remember like making videos on that, and people were like just showing up in mass. And then one day people just were like, this doesn't matter. And I'm like, but why? And they're like, well, dude, because like we're all playing games now. And I'm like, good point. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But yeah, you know, I want to say this. Maybe it's because I'm sick and feverish, but saying, MBG, could you please make a Let's Play for Horizon? I hope to, man. I hope to. I just want to say this. One of the things that I absolutely hated about 2021, all right? One of the things I absolutely hated about 2021 is when I was reflecting on the year, and I was like, I want to change something this year. And that is, I just want to try my absolute best, to the best of my ability, to just stay away from the console war stuff whatsoever. Because it used to be you could kind of have a conversation and you could talk a little bit about it, and there was some genuine interest. But the reason why it has just I'm completely done with it is because the only people left are the most toxic people. Like the people where it's like, and I know I see people saying like, oh, dude, you need to delete Twitter. Dude, it's not just Twitter. It's everywhere. I mean, it's definitely worse on Twitter, but it's all over YouTube as well, man. And it's not that like, I'm not trying to be like, oh, they shouldn't do this or they shouldn't do that. It's not about that. For me, it's just a personal thing where it's like, well, I have to ask myself, why am I doing this? What is the real reason why I'm doing this? Is it to get into arguments with people about things that literally don't matter at all and waste my time and energy? Or is it to enjoy talking about games and enjoy the community that we built here and just enjoy PlayStation? And that's what it comes down to, man. And so, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I just felt the need to say that because I think everybody going into the new year reflects on the year prior. And those are just some conclusions I've come to. It doesn't mean I won't have my opinions on things, obviously, outside of PlayStation. I will, and I'll probably share them with you. But I just think that it's gotten to a completely ridiculous point where people are literally like, people have gotten to the point where they just don't talk about games anymore, man. People just don't talk about games anymore. People literally spend more time talking about how like this game's better than that game, and no, my game's better than your game, and this service and that service is better, and this business model's better. And I realize like I've fallen into that for too long, where it's like those conversations are good to have from time to time, but at this point, the only people who really want to engage in those conversations are people who are just looking to start shit and argue and fight. And it gets you nowhere, and, some people enjoy it. They're free to do what they want, man. People are going to enjoy what they enjoy, but I'm just trying to enjoy video games these days. That's all. Harry Johnson, you're saying PS5 owners of Horizon get a free PS5 upgrade, right? Yeah, it seems that way, man. I mean, I don't know. Sony, there's no real reason for Sony not to give free upgrades. Sony's a $1 billion corporation. They're rich as shit, They're penny pinching is what they're doing. I like, to me, it's not a huge deal. Like, I'm not going to be like, take that $10 and shove it, Sony. I'm never paying that. Like, no. If it came down to it, if it's like you either pay it or you don't get the upgrade, I'll probably pay it. But I'll do so a little bit like, come on, man. Come on. Let's just just either end cross-gen or just give it out for free. And that's what's so weird to me is like you're giving the, because it's true. Sony is giving the Horizon Forbidden West upgrade out for free. They were going to, then they tried to reverse that. And then they came back and was like, actually, never mind. We are going to give it out for free because we said we would. So yeah, if you're somebody who doesn't want to pay $70 for Horizon, you can buy the PS4 version for $60, and you'll, as far as I'm aware anyway, unless they put something in the way of that, which I don't think they could, you get it for free. You get it for free. And it's just like, why don't just do that for GT7 and God of War now? Like, why not? Like, you literally are doing it for Horizon. Just do it for the other two. And I just think I I used to think that people spent too much time complaining about it, but I realize it's not so much about no. I don't think most people are complaining that $10 is too much money. It's not that $10 is too much money. Maybe for some people it is, but for most people it's not that. I think for most people it's just really Sony, you need my extra $10 that badly. And the reality is no, Sony doesn't need your $10. They just want your $10 and they know they'll get it. So it is what it is. PlayStation Pete, you're saying, has anyone platinumed Guardians of the Galaxy, and how did you overcome the lure hoarder trophy glitch? Okay, so PlayStation Pete confirming what what you were talking about earlier. Yeah, so I did ask that question actually. How difficult the platinum is for Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, I mean, look, I feel like a lot of us. Sorry, taking a drink here. A lot of us really are big PlayStation fans, to the point where we don't, it's only natural. When it's something you like and something you enjoy, you prefer to have positive conversations about it. And you don't want to have negative conversations, but they're just, this is just the way it is. You got to take the good with the bad and the bad with the good. And the more thought I put into upgrades, specifically what's going on with Horizon, where it's they said it was going to be free, then they're like, no, it's not, and we it is going to be free. Actually, never mind. It's just come on, Sony, just stop, just stop. 2022 is likely the last year of cross-gen for your exclusives. Just give the upgrades for free. It's not a big deal. I feel like it's easy for me to say that though, but if I was, yeah, you're right. Penny pinching is a bad look. It mainly because it's Sony doesn't need to do that, man. It's not like Sony's on the brink here and it's we need every dollar we can get. No, you don't. But then again, I don't have to do this, but I just can't help but look at every angle. I imagine if I was in charge of PlayStation and, that the people who are running all the numbers and they come back to me and you're so if we're projected to sell, this many million units of God of War and we charge $10 for an upgrade, here's, potentially how much money we could make. And it's well, I mean, if you're running a business, that is what it is, man. My hope is that come this time next year, man, we're not talking about cross-gen crap anymore. I'm over cross-gen. I mean, I don't, cross-gen doesn't have me any less excited for God of War and Horizon, but I'm eager to see what the generation can look like when just the PS4 is out of the question, So I do apologize because as always, I went way off track. This was supposed to be about predictions, and I don't think I've given many predictions yet. So I'm now going to run down my list of predictions. You guys tell me whether or not you agree with my predictions, if you disagree, or what you would change about my predictions regarding PlayStation in 2022. So I actually didn't write this one down, but I'm going to start with it. One of my predictions is that I think the PS5 shortage is going to be particularly bad for the first 6, maybe to 7 or 8 months of 2022. And I think towards the end of this year, it's going to get significantly better. I think that that's going to happen. And I think Sony is preparing for this. And I think that it's also why pretty much every one of their games is going to be cross-gen. But I think that that's what's going to happen. I would love to be more optimistic about that and say I think that the chip shortage and the supply shortage is going to, within the next 3 months, it's just going to, go away and be better. But, I think that it's really going to be the transition of the last 3 months of this year going into 2023. I think that that's when it'll really start to show significant improvement. So that's my prediction. And I guess, with that first prediction, what I'm really curious about is to see how Sony navigates it, because what I think is going to happen is we're going to see PS5 sales start to fall behind PS4 sales. And I don't think that that's going to be due to lack of interest, obviously. I think there's more interest You're saying we need an MBG predicts segment in each podcast. Yeah, maybe we could do that. But I think it's going to be because Sony just won't be able to put out enough units. And I'm just wondering, like, if Sony is already prepared for that. You know what I mean? Because if you look at how bullish Jim Ryan and Sony was talking about the PS5 going into this generation all throughout 2020, I mean, they really were confident. Like, yeah, we're stepping things up. Like, we're prepared for this to be the best generation ever. And I still believe that. But then there were just, things that got in the way that they couldn't do anything about. So I wonder if Sony will basically make any, last minute changes or turns or whatever, or detours, to navigate that. That I don't have a prediction for that, because nobody can predict that, Hickzock, you're saying cross-gen God of War 2 slow loading tunnels in 2022. Yeah, that'll be kind of weird. That'll be kind of weird if we get that on PS5. Harry Johnson, you're saying you hear about the Flurona MBG? We are doomed. No, I have not. I have not. I don't even really, I don't know. I'm not going to talk about that stuff here because this is a gaming podcast. I know, a lot of people tune into podcasts like this, because I do it too, to kind of escape that stuff, because it's, it's everywhere, man. It's literally everywhere. So, MBG, you are starting to sound better. Dude, I noticed that with this. This is like an hourly thing. 1 hour, it feels worse. The next hour, I feel better. The next hour, I feel worse. It's like a seesaw effect. It's pretty annoying. Okay, so that's my first prediction. By the way, guys, please hit that like button for me. We're at 330 likes. I think we can do more than that. I think we can. Be sure. Let's see if we can get the 400 likes. I think we can do it, guys. I think we can do it. I would like to get the 500 likes before the podcast ends, but I don't know if that's possible. Slow day today. My next prediction: Sony will hold a God of War State of Play in March and announce an April release date. Now, again, I may have been a bit feverish when I wrote this prediction down, but I'm prepared to be completely wrong about that. But I the reason why I think this is because, we did get that rating in Saudi Arabia. And if we start to find out in the next couple weeks that God of War is getting rated here and then it's getting rated there, I don't know, man. I think we could see, some people are going to be like, oh, dude, Sony would not want to release God of War so close to Horizon. Dude, look at The Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. Literally 1 month apart from one another. And they both did fantastic. So I think a lot of people are going to disagree with that prediction. They're going to say April's too soon. But at the very least, I am somewhat confident in a March State of Play. Or maybe, if you want to alter it a little bit, if we don't get a release for April, but maybe we get a release in like June or something, then I think that we could get, I think we could still get a State of Play in March, or maybe a State of Play in April. You're saying we literally only have one trailer, MBG, it's January. That's true, but like, I don't know, man. You don't really need much else for God of War Ragnarok, dude. Like, if you go look at that trailer, it's a long trailer, man. And it shows a lot of story elements. It shows a lot of gameplay, shows a lot of environments, a lot of new moves, a lot of new enemies. At this point, I really feel that all you need for God of War is just a 20-minute State of Play, man. 20 minutes of raw gameplay, and that's it. I mean, again, I'm prepared for this prediction to be completely wrong. All right, but that's my prediction. I mainly put it there just to see if I end up being right. I think I gotta let my cat out. My next prediction: the first PS5 exclusive will be announced for PC alongside more PS4 titles going to PC. And the first PlayStation 5 title that will make its way to PC, drumroll, drum roll please, is going to be Returnal. I think that's what's going to happen. Guys, I'm going to get up for just a second. I got to go let my cats out. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, I do think that that's something that's going to happen, guys. You know, I think that, you know, more PS4 games announced for PC is obviously going to happen. You know, it's not even worth predicting which PS4 games, because at this point, I think we'll start to see more and more and more and more until eventually the whole PS4 catalog. You know, I could see that happening, but I do think that Sony is just going to, you know, they're just going to embrace it with PS5. Now, I want to make it clear that if I am correct about this prediction and Returnal's announced for PC, it's going to create a lot of fuss, obviously, but I don't think that means Sony is going to do day and date PC releases. I think the exact opposite, actually. If we were to see Sony announce Returnal for PC, it would be very obvious why, because it's certainly well past its peak in sales. You know, like, I don't think that means that you're going to suddenly see God of War on Ragnarok on PC a year later. Although I could be completely wrong about this prediction, but I do think you're saying day and date is coming, MBG. It's a possibility. I just think it's unlikely to happen anytime soon. I would be very surprised if Sony did that anytime soon. But I think they're going to start slow and gradual, and they're going to do it where it makes sense. That's the most important thing with, I think, Sony and their PC strategy. I think Sony's just going to analyze the games they have, how long they've been out, how they're selling, and then they're just going to decide which titles are going to go to PC and which ones aren't, you know? I think it's pretty obvious that you see Horizon went to PC to get people excited for Horizon Forbidden West. Now God of War is releasing on PC this year to get people excited for Ragnarok. You know what I mean? So it makes sense that this trajectory. And I think a game like Returnal releasing on PC, like, let's just say the middle of this year, even that would make sense, because, I mean, let's face it, guys, I can't imagine Returnal selling very well at this point. You know, it's probably made most of its sales. It dropped in price, and I don't know. This is where Sony's new Spartacus service would make a lot of sense. If Sony were to announce Returnal's going to PC, what if alongside that they also announce it's going to be going into the Spartacus, the second tier of the Spartacus PlayStation Plus service? You know, I mean, you look at the PlayStation Plus collection, that's pretty much what that is. So imagine they drop Returnal into there. You're saying MBG, as people get PS5s, Returnal will continue to sell. Yeah, that is another aspect of it as well, where I could be completely off the mark with that one. Because you're right, there are probably plenty of people out there who want a PS5, haven't gotten one yet, and when they do get one, whether it's this year, next year, or the year after that, they're probably going to want to buy Ratchet & Clank and Returnal. So that's just, you know, kind of an off-the-wall prediction, but I wouldn't be shocked if that were to happen. So you guys let me know what you think about that prediction. The next prediction I have, a big E3-like PlayStation event will be held in June, and Sony will not hold back when it comes to game reveals. PlayStation VR 2 may be a big focus, but the Spartacus service will be announced during the event. Now, for the PSVR 2, the reason why I said it may be a big focus is because it's a situation where I'm not fully sold on the idea that Sony is going to want to have the focus be on PSVR 2, the hardware itself. If it's during a showcase that's focused on PS5 games, because it might confuse people, you know what I mean? They have to be very transparent and careful about how they, the market this headset alongside PS5 games. If they make some kind of announcement where it's like, here's the PSVR 2 headset, in the middle of June in a big PlayStation showcase event, and we're happy to tell you that every single PlayStation 5 game we announce here today will also be compatible with PSVR 2. I could see them doing something like that. But, I know that for as exciting as 2022 is and looks so far for PlayStation, for as exciting as it is, a lot of PlayStation fans, I do think, are still very eager to know, like, when's Sony's next big event going to be? It could come before June, but I just do think that Sony doing a big event before June would be very random. I would be excited for it. I'd love to be wrong. I'd love to get an event in February or March. Doesn't matter to me. But I think that the first half of 2022 is going to be reserved for stated plays. And if you think about it, again, the trajectory in which you have to assume that most PlayStation 5 games that get announced, if not all of them from Sony going forward, are likely not going to be cross-gen. They're going to be PS5 only. It would make more sense for Sony to want to save those announcements for the middle of this year, not necessarily the beginning of this year. JDTV are saying most underrated game of 2021, Ratchet and Clank. Yeah, I'd say it's pretty underrated. I think it came and it went pretty quickly. It made a big splash, but I do notice that people aren't really talking about it much. I think it's kind of understandable though, because I feel like Ratchet and Clank it was exactly what we expected it to be. You know what I mean? Like it was one of those games where like it wasn't mind blowing, but it was exactly as good as we expected it to be, and people were satisfied with it. And I don't know. I thought it was good, but it didn't like blow my mind or anything. I wasn't like in awe of like how amazing it was. I thought it was really good, but it wasn't like over the top. Saying it was too short. Yeah, it was on the shorter side. You're saying what the F Ratchet and Clank is mind-blowing. I think graphically Ratchet and Clank is mind-blowing. I'm just talking from like a gameplay and presentation standpoint. It's not mind-blowing. But graphically, I think it was. I think Ratchet and Clank served the purpose of being the showpiece for the PS5. And I think it did that perfectly. All right. So here's some of the games. I'm just going to run down a quick list of some of the games that I could see end up being announced this year at one of Sony's events, or if Sony does have a big event. So here they are. Bloodborne PS5 remaster for PC. The Last of Us multiplayer game. A new SOCOM, possibly from Guerrilla Games. The return of Twisted Metal. Spider-Man 2. I think we're going to hear a little bit more about Spider-Man 2 this year. I think we're going to possibly get the announcement of Santa Monica's new IP, although it might be too soon for that. Also, Sony Ben's new game. Maybe their new IP. Again, might be too soon. I think we will get a few big AAA third-party exclusive deals, and I think one of those deals will be Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake, which I do believe is a real thing. And I think when it's announced, I think it's going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive, at least timed. I do think that. Could be wrong. Obviously, like, these are just predictions. I could be wrong about everything I'm predicting right now, but I could see that. So those are just some of the games that I could see. Sucker Punch, yeah, I don't know. I guess Sucker Punch would have to show up with something, right? I don't know. That's all I have written down here. So you guys can tell me if there's any games that I left off this list that you think are obvious. So I also put here Hideo Kojima will announce a new game, and it will be Death Stranding 2 for the PlayStation 5. And the final prediction I have here, because I kept these predictions pretty short, Sony will continue to acquire multiple studios, and some of these studios will be they will be like support studios, kind of like with what we've seen recently. So, those are my predictions for some of the things that PlayStation is, what's going to happen in 2022. I probably could have predicted more, but again, I'm having a struggle over here, so that's what you're going to get for now. Let me see what other topics I have, because I'm going to be honest, guys, I think I'm just about spent here. I really don't know that there's anything more I can continue to talk about. Something I do have to do before I end the podcast, though. I did forget to do my member shout out, so I'll have to be sure to close with that. But I think I think, yeah, I think this is where I'm going to have to close out the podcast. It's not the most exciting podcast, certainly. It's literally the first week of January. Things are the slowest they're going to be all year. Nobody's doing anything, everybody's dreading going back to work and having to do their normal thing again. So, January traditionally is a slower month, but yeah, I wanted to be sure to try to do the podcast today. And sincere thank you to everybody who showed up and hung out with me here today. Not every episode can be a 3 to 4 hour long show, right? But if you could do me a favor before you head out, make sure you hit that like button for me. I want to give a big shout out to Devil Shooter, who does the timestamps for the podcast each week. So big shout out to you, Devil Shooter. I'm going to try my best over the next week to just create the usual content. So look out for that. But before I go, I do have to give my member shout out. I meant to do this in the beginning, but big shout out to Junior Jackson, Josh Z, Agile Ice 24, Skin Tight Salmon, PlayStation Pete, RU46 N2 Ray, iSiler 18, Whiskey Gaming, Chlorian A, Chris B, Anthony Ramos, Hidden Leaf 2 Taka, Rune Gasoden, Black Waifus, Ryan Butcher, John Renzi, Adrian D, AWS Asher, Sonarcan Blitzer, Ivanoa Kachofel, Space Gambler Jr., AJ Saeed, JD TV, Sir Speaks a Lot, A Shorty Faye, Big Norman 0518, Shaky Shako, Tyson Webb 509, Black Manta 1989, Sane JT, Brandon Chad Perez, and Adrian Lupton. Thank you guys so much for your continued support here on the channel. It really does mean a lot to me. So yeah, I'm going to rest for the remainder of the day, guys. Probably just chill, play some games, try to stay hydrated. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your Sunday. But that does it. That's episode 90. I wish we could have had a more exciting episode for the first podcast of 2022, but hey, I'm just feeling happy that I was even able to do it. So, all right, guys, until next time, take care. I'm heading out.